Hello, everyone. My name is Ravi Therasai. I lead product marketing for Atlassian's ITSM solution. Thank you for joining this session, where I'm really excited to introduce you to Jira Service Management. Jira Service Management is the next generation of our Jira Service Desk product and part of our ongoing investment in the IT service management space. Today, I'm going to talk you through a little bit more about Jira Service Management, give you some more details about that offering, give you a preview of what's to come, and also give you a little bit of context on why we think this area is so important. Before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of background on how we got here. It was a little over 2 years ago that we acquired a company called Opsgenie, giving our customers access to modern incident response capabilities, including on-call alerting and incident swarming, a critical capability for modern ITSM teams. We also, earlier this year, acquired a company called Halp, giving customers access to conversational ticketing, allowing them to submit requests and manage requests within chat tools that they're familiar with, like Slack and Microsoft Teams, while also deeply integrated in Jira Service Desk. Just a few weeks ago, we announced the acquisition of Mindville Insight, one of the most popular marketplace apps in the Atlassian marketplace, and one of the most requested feature sets from our customers in the space of asset and configuration management. And lastly, earlier this year at Summit, we announced the early access program for some new exciting ITSM functionality, particularly in the areas of incident and change management. We've invested a lot in this space, and all of that led up to today, where I'm excited to share with you the announcement of Jira Service Management. Jira Service Management is the next generation of our Jira Service Desk product and includes a lot more functionality for IT service management teams. It's available now and available in free, standard, enterprise, and premium plans. Importantly, it includes Opsgenie capabilities in all of those plans in our cloud deployment options. And we're also announcing that Mindville Insight and the free plan of Halp will be included in Jira Service Management at a later date. Let me dive in and give you a little bit of context on why we think this is important. We're continuing to see this ongoing shift within IT, this shift to high velocity IT. And recently we collaborated with Forrester Consulting to take a deeper look at what high velocity IT looks like. And we saw these three critical capabilities, including product practices and cultural approaches. These teams invested a lot in tools that integrated teams, particularly development and IT operations. They also put a great emphasis on cultural practices like openness and collaboration and knowledge sharing. And importantly, these teams invested a lot in creating integrated teams across development, IT operations, and the business. You know what? I see this shift happening every day, and I know that all of you do too. And I feel like these stats don't even do justice to the transformation that's happening across IT and the personal moments that we've all felt as we've been making this shift. I know for me, I recall sitting in my first daily stand-up meeting after having done waterfall projects for a few years. And if I'm honest with you, I hated it at first, but I knew that the world was changing. And now when I look back on it, I can't imagine going back to that old world. We've seen that shift in so many parts of IT. And I know that all of us have felt these moments as we've made that shift. But the question I want to ask for you is, what about the rest of IT? And importantly, what about IT service management? These practices that stitch together the workflows across IT. Where's the revolution for those teams? And when's the last time you kicked off a workflow in your IT service management tool and felt like it was deeply connected with those trends that I just mentioned for modern IT? We think there is a need for an alternative approach to IT service management. And we see that every day, particularly through our engagement with our Jira Service Desk customers. Today, we've got over 25,000 Jira Service Desk customers, and I want to introduce you to one of them. This is ISS Global. They are a leading vendor in the workplace experience and facility management space. Today, they have over 400,000 employees in 30 plus countries. And as they've grown to that scale, as you can imagine, they deal with a scale of service requests and the problem of disconnected system, the pains of growing at that scale. They recently decided to standardize on Jira Service Desk for IT service management after having looked at lots of different ITSM solutions, as you can imagine. When I spoke with their team, including their head of IT service management, Marie Bjork, and our Atlassian solution partner, Christian Thompson, I really wanted to dive in and understand how and why they decided to pick Jira Service Desk for their standard for IT service management. One of the first things that Marie mentioned was this importance of integrating work across operations and development. She talked about the integration between Jira Service Desk and Jira software, and how seamless that connection was and how it enabled a better connection of the workload across those teams and allowed them to prioritize work so much better than before. The second thing that Marie mentioned was this need to make work more visible. That with Atlassian, when everyone's working in the same tool and across the Jira platform, that work becomes so much more visible, and teams working in Atlassian tools can gain a common understanding so that they can make better decisions. And then the last one is sort of the one that was most unexpected. It was the way in which Jira Service Desk was adopted across the organization. Christian Thompson, our Atlassian solution partner who helped ISS World in this journey, noted that the transformation really happened organically. People seemed to want to get out of those legacy tools and siloed tools. And even though Jira Service Desk was meant to be sort of a pilot project for IT, when other teams saw how successful it was and how easy it was to deploy, they wanted it for themselves, and teams across regions and functions started adopting Jira Service Desk. Everyone wanted to work in the same platform, and Jira Service Desk enabled that for them. ISS World got all of this functionality and this value at a fraction of the cost of traditional ITSM tools. And that's why we're so excited to announce that Jira Service Desk is now Jira Service Management. And our 25,000 customers who are familiar with Jira Service Desk will still get those rich functionality that you've come to expect from Jira Service Desk, including that rich service request capability, the portal, and more. But now you'll get even more ITSM functionality so that you can align yourself to high velocity IT. And with Jira Service Management, we have this deep commitment to unlocking high velocity teams that are trying to lean into those trends that I mentioned earlier. And we think there are three key areas that Jira Service Management can help these teams be successful. One is by connecting work across these traditionally siloed teams of development and IT operations. It's been a trend that we've been seeing for many years. And because Jira Service Management is so deeply woven into the Jira platform, and because of Atlassian's deep heritage with developer tooling, we believe we have a solution that helps teams really connect those workflows in a compelling way. Secondly is by making work visible. Because it's on the Jira platform, we have a platform that is open and collaborative. It makes work visible so that teams around you and connected to you can understand the work that's happening and make better decisions and collaborate better. And then thirdly, and importantly, is this core capability, this ability to deliver value fast. And we believe that's possible by really leaning into Atlassian's mission of unleashing the potential of every team. Jira Service Management helps teams to be successful so by allowing them to create workflows and record types that are really unique to their needs. Let me take you through some examples of what this looks like in Jira Service Management. Let's start with this connection between development and IT operations. And one of the biggest areas of friction that we hear from customers in this space is in the area of change management. We constantly hear from developers that are frustrated about having to resubmit information multiple times in multiple tools and having to work with workflows that really slow down innovation. Similarly, we hear from IT operations teams that are trying to meet the needs of the business to both enable innovation but manage risk. And with Jira Service Management, you get a solution for change management that you would expect from Atlassian, reflecting our deep understanding and heritage of modern development practices while also enabling the business. It features deep integrations with Bitbucket pipelines, Jenkins, and Circle CI, so that development and IT operations teams can have connected tools without having to leave the tools that they're familiar with. Let me show you what this looks like. Let's say you've got a developer who's working in Bitbucket. They've got some pipelines set up. When they go to their pipelines, one will be noticeably paused, and that's because it's awaiting review from a change manager in Jira Service Management. The developer can see that request is pending, and when you look at the actual change request record, the change manager has the ability to approve or decline this particular change request. The approvers are automatically attached to the actual change record, and that's because the service is automatically attached because it's connected to Bitbucket. When the change manager approves this request, the status is automatically updated to implementing. And now when you go back into Bitbucket pipelines, you'll see that the pipeline is unblocked and the deploy is moving on into production. The record is updated in Jira Service Management to completed. And now the developer hasn't had to leave their tool. They can continue working. The IT operations team gets all of the visibility into all those deploys, and these teams can work much more effectively and efficiently together. The second big area that I want to talk about is this ability to make work visible. And this is something that Atlassian and across all of its tools leans very heavily into. And this is important because increasingly information is disparate and connected across so many different teams. When that work is visible, teams can make better decisions. And a great example of this is in the area of incident management. When teams are trying to resolve highly stressful incident situations, it's so important that those teams and your teams have the context to make the right decisions, to collaborate with the right people, and not wake someone up unnecessarily when there is an incident. This is where Opsgeni's functionality really come into play. And let me show you an example. Let's say you've got a stakeholder who's trying to log into their particular service and they're noticing that they can't log in. So they'll go to Jira Service Management in the portal and they'll type in the error that they're receiving. This will automatically surface up the incident form for the responder, the help seeker, to submit an incident. They'll put information about the problem and some information about the detail. There will be some suggested articles that will automatically pop up, but this seems to be a new incident. So they'll continue forward with describing in detail the problem. They'll indicate the affected service, that this is Bankly, and the urgency and the severity of this particular incident, and then click submit. On the agent side, what they'll see is a dedicated incident queue for the team to review all the incidents in one place. All of the open incidents are visible here, including the most recent incident that was just added by our help seeker. But importantly, because of this connection with Opsgeni functionality, now this agent can also see ongoing incidents that are being swarmed on in Opsgeni. And in this particular case, it looks like there is an ongoing incident, but it's related to something else. So now, as a result, this agent can understand that this is probably a new major incident that our team needs to work on. And so they'll get to work in the queue. The first thing they'll notice is that it seems like there's some duplicate tickets here. And so the agent will first make some work here to link these two tickets together and link them to the source incident that was submitted. So they'll indicate that this was caused by and search for the related Jira record, link the issue, and now these records are linked. Now from here, the agent will dive deeper into this particular incident, and they'll look at some of the context that has already been added here. Since this is a new major incident, they'll take advantage of this ability to create a major incident and alert the teams that have been working within Opsgeni of this particular major incident that needs to be swarmed on. What's powerful here is that you're not having to go into a different tool, resubmit information. All of the context is added automatically, and it's submitted automatically and alerted automatically to the teams working within your Opsgenie tool. We'll add in some additional description here and the priority. And now the major incident is created. You'll see that is automatically attached to the incident record for the agent to keep track of. And now you get to take advantage of all of those powerful incident capabilities of Opsgenie, including the context around the impacted service and more. One of the first things that a major incident response team will do here, oftentimes that we've seen, is to first actually to create a Slack channel where the right responders can get together and start swarming. So you'll see to the right here is the ability to create a Slack channel directly from within the incident record. And now you have a bidirectional communication line between your incident record in Jira Service Management and the Slack channel. The next thing that this team will do after collaborating for a bit is look into potential causes. And this is where the connections with Atlassian's development tools are so powerful. With Jira Service Management, you can see the most recent deploys in the incident investigation dashboard. And for example, in this particular case, it looks like there were some recent deploys that occurred here. Since oftentimes an incident is related to a recent deploy, we can take a look at these deploys and indicate whether one of these looks to be a likely cause of this particular incident. So I'm going to click on this particular deploy, and I'm going to indicate that it's a possible cause of this particular incident. Now we've indicated what's the potential cause. The last thing I want to show you is how woven into the Jira platform Jira Service Management is. From here, we can easily create an issue for our development teams working in Jira software. And in this particular case, we can ask them to roll back that most recent deploy that seems to be causing an incident. Again, your teams don't have to leave the tools that they're familiar with. The context is submitted automatically to those teams as you're working across these tools and these teams. It all works seamlessly together with no context lost. All right, we've swarmed on the incident. We've committed work to roll back the bad deploy. We're going to resolve this incident. And the last thing I want to show off is this leading practice of creating a postmortem. And within Jira Service Management, you get to take advantage of templates that are based on our years of experience of working with teams around best practice incident capabilities. We give you a template that gives you the most common fields and also allows you to capture a lot of the automatic information that's captured during the incident, including the timeline. Once your team has worked on that particular postmortem, what's also powerful is that you can easily export this postmortem into Confluence. We know that so many of you are using Confluence, and now you can use Confluence to keep this record on an ongoing basis for future reference. So I'll indicate the space and the parent page, and I'll export it to Confluence. And you'll see all of that information, both what your team has added, as well as what was captured automatically in Jira Service Management is captured here. For example, things like the timeline, as well as the related Jira records, such as the Jira software records. A lot of powerful functionality. And when your teams have context, they can make better decisions and learn better from these incidents. The last space that I want to dive into is this ability to deliver value fast. And as I mentioned, a lot of this revolves around the ability to make your teams successful. And we take an alternative approach to the way that a lot of ITSM tools work. When you go and work in a traditional ITSM tool, request management is one of the core capabilities. But the way in which traditional ITSM tools works is you've got an end customer or a customer that's ready to make a request or seek help. They'll submit that request to a service catalog. That request then gets routed to a service desk. The service desk will evaluate that request, and then it gets routed to a particular team. And this process results in slow response times. And importantly, it enforces one single process across all of your teams. And we hear from so many customers that are frustrated by the ability to create unique workflows and record types that their teams need to be adopted across such diverse teams, from technical to non-technical teams. With Jira Service Management, it's a little bit different. We have an end customer, as usual, looking for help, seeking to submit a request. They'll route that request into the service center. But from here, rather than going to a help desk first, it's actually routed directly to the teams involved. Those teams involved are accountable to their service, and they put those services available within your service catalog. So when your help seeker is looking for help, they're engaging directly with those accountable teams for those services. This allows for a much faster response time. It allows for more flexibility for your teams, and it allows for a lot more collaboration across your teams. And that's why at places like ISS World, teams from technical teams to non-technical teams adopt Jira to do their work. Let me show you behind the scenes what this looks like and how even non-technical teams can do a lot of customization and work within Jira Service Management. We make the portal groups relatively easy to edit and group. You can adjust the groupings. You can adjust within particular groups the order of particular forms. It's relatively easy to add new request forms. Again, technical and non-technical teams can easily do this work. And then even within the request forms, when you dive into particular fields for a request form, you can easily edit the order of the visible fields, or you can go back and actually edit which particular fields are showing up in a very seamless and intuitive drag and drop format. So I can edit the order here, add new fields, and move different fields around. So there's a lot of capability here for both technical and non-technical teams. There's a lot of capability here with Jira Service Management, and we really hope you'll give it a try. But we're not done yet, and this is just the start of our commitment and our investment in this space. I alluded to some of this a little bit earlier, but to reiterate, one is we are going to add the free edition of Help into Jira Service Management. And that's important because increasingly customers and your end users are using tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams. And now with Help, those teams can submit requests, submit for help within the tools that they're familiar with, while still having visibility for you in Jira Service Management. A lot of exciting capabilities there. The second is the area of smarts and machine learning. We're increasingly adding new capabilities that will expand what's possible in Jira Service Management by leveraging intelligence. For example, the ability to route requests more effectively using intelligence, the ability to group particular records together based upon similarities of those records. And thirdly, the ability to indicate who should be collaborated with in a particular record or field based upon who's worked on similar types of problems in the past. And then the third big area is related to our acquisition of Mindville Insight. And we, as I mentioned, hear from so many customers that are looking for configuration management capabilities, but are also trying to meet the needs of modern IT, an increasingly dynamic world, meeting the needs of a increasingly agile business. And so you'll be getting a dynamic configuration management solution that you would expect from Atlassian, providing not only those basic configuration and asset management capabilities, but also greater context into things like deploys, repos, and pull requests. Stay tuned for a lot more around that. Well, I'm really excited to share all of this news for you. If you'd like to dive deeper into Jira Service Management and learn more, you can go to this URL. You can learn more, for example, on particular topics like incident management and change management, and get more demos of what some of these capabilities look like. Thank you so much for joining this session. I want to thank all of our customers and partners hundreds of whom participated in the early access program and gave us important feedback that made today possible. I also really want to congratulate our product and go-to-market teams. As you can imagine, it's a lot of work to bring this to life. And I want to thank you again for joining me today. Bye, everyone, and be safe.